Have you ever heard a sound that seems to come from another world? A sound that chills you to the bone, not with fear, but with a deep, ancient sorrow. In the heart of a village nestled so deep in the rolling hills that even the maps seem to forget it, lies a legend of a drum. Not just any drum, but one carved from the heartwood of a fallen baobab tree, its skin cured under a blood moon. They call it the Udukai, the voice of the ancestors. For generations, it has been silent, a relic of a time when the veil between our world and the spirit world was thin, but now, it has begun to speak again. My name is Kale, and my family has been the keeper of the Udukai for as long as anyone can remember. My grandfather taught me the rhythms, not with his hands, but with his stories. He'd say, "Each beat is a heartbeat, Kale, a memory. You don't play the drum, you listen to what it wants to say." I thought they were just old tales, meant to keep a young boy in line. I was wrong. It started a week ago, under a sliver of a new moon. A faint hollow thud echoed from the elder's hut where the drum was kept. At first, we dismissed it. An animal, the wind, old wood, settling. But the next night, it was louder. Thump thump, thump thump. A slow, deliberate pulse, like a weary heart. It wasn't the wind, it was the Udukai playing itself. The village elders gathered, their faces etched with a worry I hadn't seen since the Great Drought. The rhythm was one of summons, a call reserved for the gravest of occasions. But who was it calling, and why now? The old stories say the Udukai only awakens when a great injustice has been left to fester, when the spirits of the wronged cannot find rest. As the drumming continued night after night, a strange melancholy settled over the village. Laughter became rare, replaced by hushed whispers. People started seeing things in the shadows, flickering shapes at the edge of their vision, faces in the swirling dust. The air grew heavy, thick with unspoken grief. The ancestors were restless. They were being called from their eternal sleep, and their sorrow was beginning to poison the very land we walked on. My grandfather, now frail and his eyes clouded with age, clutched my arm. "The drum calls for a drummer. Kale," he rasped, his voice barely a whisper. "It seeks a hand to tell its story. The dead cannot speak, but they can guide. You must answer me." I was just a boy who knew a few festival rhythms. How could I possibly commune with ancient spirits? But looking into his eyes, I saw not a request, but a sacred duty. The madness that was beginning to fray the edges of our community, the creeping dread that stole sleep from our nights, it wouldn't stop until someone uncovered the truth. The Udukai was calling the dead, and I had to find out why. The first time I touched the drum's skin, after it had awoken, a jolt went through me, sharp and cold. It felt alive. As I hesitantly placed my hands upon it, the drumming from within stopped. Silence. A heavy, expectant silence. Taking a deep breath, I tried to play a simple rhythm of peace. One my grandfather had taught me to soothe a crying child, but the drum resisted. The sound that came out was discordant, angry. It was then that the first vision hit me. It wasn't a dream. It was as real as the drum beneath my hands. I saw a young woman, her face streaked with tears, clutching a small carved bird. Her name was Amara. I didn't know how I knew. I just did. Her spirit flickered before me, filled with a profound sense of betrayal. The drum was showing me its first secret. Night after night, I returned to the elder's hut. It became a ritual. I would touch the drum, and a new face, a new story of injustice would flood my senses. I saw a farmer, cheated out of his land by a rich merchant, his spirit still tied to the soil he wrongfully lost. I saw a warrior, falsely accused of cowardice, whose name was struck from our village history. These were not just ghosts. They were our people, our blood, their legacies tainted by lies and deceit. Each soul was a missing piece of our history, a wound that had never healed. The Udukai wasn't just calling the dead, it was demanding we remember them. It was demanding we correct the history that had been conveniently rewritten by the powerful. The visions were taking a toll. I grew thin, my eyes shadowed. Some villagers looked at me with fear, others with pity. They thought I was dancing with madness. But a few, the elders and those who still held to the old ways, saw the truth. They started bringing me food and water, standing guard outside the hut as I communed with the spirits. They began their own investigation, digging through old village records, talking to the oldest residents, cross-referencing my visions with forgotten tales and whispers. We discovered that Amara's lover, consumed by jealousy, had spread lies that led to her exile. We found land deeds that proved the farmer was the rightful owner. Bit by bit, the truth was being unearthed. The final piece of the puzzle was the most shocking. The drum showed me a vision of a former chief, a man celebrated in our village history as a great leader. But the drum showed a different story. It showed him silencing his rivals, burying their achievements, and seizing power through treachery. The most restless spirits were those he had wronged. Our village's celebrated history was built on a foundation of lies. This was the great injustice, the festering wound. The chief's descendant, a respected elder on the current council, was part of the very group trying to help me. How could I tell him that his entire lineage was a sham? With a heavy heart, I knew what had to be done. We called a village meeting. With the elders beside me, I stood before everyone, my voice shaking at first, then growing stronger with every word. I didn't accuse, I simply told the stories the drum had shared with me. I spoke of Amara, the farmer, the warrior, and finally, the treachery of the old chief. A stunned silence fell over the crowd. The elder, the chief's descendant, stood up. His face was pale, but his eyes were clear. He walked to the center of the circle and declared that truth, no matter how painful, was more important than a legacy built on lies. He proposed that we hold a ceremony of remembrance, to publicly restore the honor of all those who had been wronged. That night, for the first time, I didn't play the urukai with trepidation. I played with purpose. I played the rhythm of remembrance, the rhythm of truth, the rhythm of healing, and the entire village joined in. We sang the names of the wronged into the night sky, we acknowledged their pain, and we rewrote their stories back into our history. As the sun began to rise, a new rhythm emerged from the drum, a soft, steady, contented beat. The visions ceased. The heavy sorrow that had cloaked our village lifted, replaced by a light, peaceful calm. The urukai grew silent once more. Its work was done. The spirits were at peace. We learned that a village isn't just made of the living. It's a tapestry woven with the stories of the dead. And sometimes, you need a drum to remind you to listen to the threads that have been broken. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey into the heart of my village. These stories, these traditions, are what connect us to our past and guide our future. If you enjoyed this tale, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel for more stories from the crossroads of history and mystery. Until next time, listen closely to the world around you. You never know what stories it might be trying to tell.